Alright, today we have John Deere 624J, and it's got a leaking problem. We've got puddles and puddles and puddles. We've got lift cylinders blown out. This one's worse than that one, but they're both getting redone. This also has a ton of hours on it, and the center pivots, they're getting a little loose, and that's on the to-do list. So we're splitting this bad girl all the way in half. We gotta split it down the center and separate it. It's a project. It's gonna be fun. Stick with us. Yeah, we'll slap a Depends on that. That'll keep it from leaking. Blown out. Let's get this thing washed up. Well, it's far from perfect, but that'll make it a whole lot easier, nicer to work on, getting it taken apart. Let's get after it. Baby. Woo, she's talking. Alright. There's one. Alrighty. Let's get this thing slung up. See if she'll lift out of here. Forgot my can of black spray paint to make that socket impact rated. And those pins didn't come out too bad for being in there for 25,000 hours. Get this slid out of here. Go round, round, and round we go. So I've never claimed to be like a mechanical genius or like Sherlock Holmes and figuring things out, but I think I found why the seal has left the chat. That is all your chrome plating just gone. I've never seen a cylinder rod like that. And then, on top of that, watch this. That's, at the end of the rod, that's probably 3/4 of an inch of play. The barrel isn't moving at all. There's something seriously wrong with this cylinder. Well, that's one cylinder down, one to go. Let's get the next one out. All right, let's make this second one go a little bit faster. Ta-da! There we have it. 2 cylinders ready to go up to the cylinder repair place. We'll see what the diagnosis is on both of them. The one I think might be a complete loss. We'll find out. The other one still seemed all right. We'll get some seals in that, get that rebuilt. We'll get this old girl back in action. All ready for a road trip. All right, here we are a couple weeks later. We got our cylinders back. They had to put new rods in both of them, but I believe the barrels and everything were in good enough shape to be just resealed once they replaced the rods. We're gonna put them back together. Let's get them in. Now that you're here, you got a second person.
I had to take my dad to go get the rental car.
No. So the chain that was hooked up there, you want to take up all that slack? Crank that sucker up. Okay. Well, since we're in here and it's been 25,000 hours on this machine, we're gonna throw some new O-rings at it when we put it back together here. Someone send me one of them little electric jobbers where you just push the button. You should be able to let down. I can kind of manage it here. It'd be nice if it just slide right in like that, right? But it's trying to go sideways. Hold it there. Are we close right here?
Very close.
Like.
Yeah. I don't know. You just gotta tweak it. Yep.
Hey, there we go.
Oh man.
I can lift it.
Takes time.
Takes time, but it saves your back.
You're upright. You're in a good position. That's great.
Alright, now what? Don't do that with your fingers. That thing will jump and it'll pinch your fingers. Do it down here.
Something seems wrong about that, Seth.
Come on, George.
I don't know.
Twist it a little bit. It should pop. Yeah, you can find it. Look like you've done this once before.
I don't have any response to that.
Boom. Come on now. There you go.
There you go.
That ought to do it. Alright, finally time to split this thing in half and do the center pivots. Alright, we got the back supported, 3 different stands. That does become back heavy when you disconnect it. And then we've got the front supported, and we'll use the A-frame crane system once we split it. But we're gonna start making some disconnections, pull the drive shafts out, cylinders, yada yada. Gotta pop this drive shaft out of here. These are 3/8 12 point. You have to go search high and low for a 3/8 12 point socket. Not the easiest thing to find around here. Center drive shafts out. This is the parking brake, and and that's the drive shaft to the front axle. So in order for us to roll the front end away from the back, we got to remove the drive shaft on that side of the parking brake so that the front axle's freewheel. So we're gonna get after that. Need more coffee.
They make the depression in the fuel tank just as kind of wild.
Okay, we've got pretty much everything disconnected. We got the drive shafts out, steer cylinders are disconnected. We got a couple of the hydraulic lines off. A lot of these have quite a bit of play in them, so we're gonna pull the center pins and see if we can get it far enough away without disconnecting all those. If not, then we'll have to mark them all and disconnect them, but I think we can get enough movement out of them to be able to split it without having to disconnect all that. I forgot we have to pull all those hoses off of the steering box to make room for the pin to get up through there. I can't see crap. Yeah. So we gotta pull those hoses off to make clearance for that upper pin to come out. So stand by. Oh good, they're just finger tight. She's split. So in theory, front half should roll away from the back half. Well, I think I'm running out of good graces with these hydraulic hoses. So, a lot more disconnecting up in there. Yay! Well, there we go. She's split right in two, floating. Now we can access the center bearings. We'll get them all rebuilt and tightened up, and we'll get her slid back together. Well, probably 3 tubes worth of grease later, a cleanup. I got her roughed in. Kinda cleaned up. Maybe enough to start working on it a little bit, disassembling. A lot of excess grease in here. We got a shim pack here to preload the bearings. So we'll have to make some measurements when we go to reinstall. Well, that's the top set out. It's one whole stack of bearings. Got your upper bearing, you got a spacer for the races, lower bearing race, and the seal cap. One whole big stack of bearings. So I haven't taken the preload out of this yet, and this is what we got going on in here. I believe that is the issue. That's why she's got a little rock to her. So after a fair bit of time in the parts bath, I got the old bearings out. There is a significant amount of play in them. Quite a bit of rust and all the chrome's gone. So at one point or another, there was a lack of grease. They are not in very good shape. Kind of impressive. So, needless to say, we have all new stuff to rebuild that. Boy, is it quite the process. Get some new stuff around and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna take one of these old wore out races and cut a relief cut in it, and I'm gonna use that to drive the new races in, so that'll come back out without being a lot of pressure on it. Now it's just a matter of reinstalling the way it came out. So we'll start with the lower grease seal. Tap that down in there. There we go. Fresh grease seal on the bottom. Brand new bearing set. They come as a set because this spacer in here, you got both outer races, and that spacer, it's all custom milled to marry up to each other for the right preload. Got bearings all set in there. So now to set the preload, I believe I gotta go check the manual and verify, but you set this on, put the bolts in, torque it down. I don't know, you can see it. Yeah, see that air gap in there? So once you torque that down to a certain torque, put feeler gauges in that gap to measure that gap, and then you build a shim pack to match or slightly less than match that gap, and that'll set the preload on this stack of bearings. But I'm gonna double check that with the manual. Okay, the manual said this just gets set on top here to measure that gap. What I did before I'm gonna measure the gap is I put the bolts in, put some pressure on them, tapped everything with a hammer a little bit to make sure that whole bearing pack is seated. Now I've taken all that torque back off, so this is free floating again. You get the measurement, that gap measurement in 3 places, take the average and then subtract, what is it, 0.005 of an inch, and build that shim pack, and then torque to 95 foot-pounds. This looks like a good measurement right here. Now, if I could just read these, they're so old they're all worn off. I'm gonna have to do some math here. So after some, we'll call it questionable math, we've got a shim pack put together here. So the measurement I got for the gap was 0.057 inches. So we want to subtract 0.005 off of that, which brings you down to 0.052. And I've built this pack to very close to that. So we'll set this in and torque those bolts to 95 foot-pounds, and that'll put the preload into those bearings. One done. Now we gotta do the bottom one. So exactly the same process, just upside down, so gravity's fighting you the whole way. Should be fun. Alright, we got the grease seals installed for the bottom pivot. This one's a whole lot more fun because everything's gotta go from the bottom up, laying on your back. Gravity's a killer. This is the tricky part. Trying to get this whole pack started. So we've got upper bearing, lower bearing, spacer, lower race. The lower race is what holds it in. Just gotta get it started without it falling on my head. That race go. Sounds like that's home. Well, since gravity isn't on our side this time, I'm using a jack stand to gently hold that in place without too much pressure, so I can get a good accurate reading on that gap to build a shim pack. There we go. The time has come to marry these back in holy matrimony and reassemble. Get everything to line back up. Let's do it.
Oh, a little bit more. All right, stop right there.
Now we just gotta wiggle, wiggle.
Yeah, wiggle, wiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Home.
We'll get our base plate installed, or at least supported anyway. So what this does is it draws, there's a bolt that goes through here.
It'll draw down on the pin bearing slit spacers. Yeah, that's what holds this thing up and down.
Yes, YouTube, if you could hear him. He was explaining it for me. This one just has to be finger tight. Just like that. Nah, I'm just kidding. That's 1,570 foot-pounds. We gotta torque that too. We gotta get a torque amplifier. I think it's a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1. I'll let you know when we get it. We gotta borrow it from a neighboring shop to torque that down. It's a lot of torque. All right, we borrowed a 4-to-1 torque multiplier. Goes in, comes out 4 times more. So 1,570 foot-pounds divided by 4 is what, 392? So gotta torque the backside of that 392 and somehow hold this short little rod stable while we're doing it. That pin was trying to spin, so we've got it barred up with holes. I've got it marked. We're gonna try and put some torque to it, see if she spins. Well, that's clicking at 392 through a 4-to-1 multiplier. So that should be 1,572 foot-pounds. That's tight. That's really tight. So we got that torqued without that pin moving. That stayed steady. Just got a couple of drive shafts, a couple more hoses to hook up, and we'll get this thing back in business. Well guys, we made it. She's all back together, fully operational. Just heading back into service tomorrow. I really appreciate you guys tagging along this far and watching till the end. I'll catch you on the next one on Red's Wrenching.